At sunset, all the forest seems as though in contemplation. Clumps of russet oaks, small junipers, sparse holly bushes, and not a leaf doth tremble in the light. The only sound, a bird, belated toiler, in the distant stand of ancient chestnut trees. Across the mighty, peaceful woods, we hear the yaffle, with his bills staccato hammering. Strange bird. Familiar to this man who passes by in sunset's pure, calm glimmering. 'Tis not an old man, feet dragging as he goes, his back bent low, drawing on weary legs. 'Tis a rude fellow from the forest comes, laden with dead wood. His stride is long and firm. He's seen the sun, like a great orange in the sky, that yonder sinks into the grasses and disappears. Cheerfully he goes, pondering in his inmost heart some source of happiness. Into the clear, cold sky rises a plume of smoke, a long, straight plume. His old mask, rugged and weather-worn, lights up. Night may have fallen by the time he gains that fold of ground where the horizon ends. But on his back, he has a goodly beechwood fire to brighten every corner of the house. There, beneath a mossy roof, door and window closed, at bedtime, his children, with delight, will open wide their eyes, dazzled by the flames, when off their small pink feet he takes the shoes.
It's certainly a strange phenomenon that all artists, poets, musicians, painters are unfortunate in the material sense, even the happy ones. What you were saying recently about Guy de Maupassant proves it once again. That breaks up the eternal question: is life visible to us in its entirety? Or before we die, do we know only of one hemisphere? Painters, to speak only of them, being dead and buried, speak to the following generation or to several following generations through their works. Is that all? Or is there more, even? In the life of the painter, death may perhaps not be the most difficult thing. For myself, I declare I don't know anything about it. But the sight of the stars always makes me dream in as simple a way as the black spots on the map representing towns and villages make me dream. Why, I say to myself, should the spots of light in the firmament be less accessible to us than the black spots on the map of France? Just as we take the train to go to Tarascon, Rouen, we take death to go to a star. What's certainly true in this argument is that while alive we cannot go to a star, any more than once dead we'd be able to take the train. So it seems to me not impossible that cholera, the stone, consumption, cancer are celestial means of locomotion, just as steamboats, omnibuses, and the railway are terrestrial ones. To die peacefully of old age would be to go there on foot. For the moment, I'm going to go to bed because it's late, and I wish you good night and good luck. Handshake. Ever yours, Vincent. Not I, but Père Michelet says to all young men like you and me, a woman must breathe upon you if you're to be a man. She has breathed upon me, my dear chap. What do you mean? Because 3 times she has answered never. That, my dear chap, is one of their ways of breathing upon a monster. And there's the monster who turns into a man. For love of her, she and no other. Do you understand, my dear chap? In the same way, and conversely, must a man breathe upon a woman if she is to be a woman? I think so, very certainly. If you ask me, how to breathe on her? Here's my clear and simple answer. By setting against her never these other words, my dear, I love you, and you will love me, may God help us. One must have loved and have fallen out of love and love on. Do you understand why, dear chap? No, where is thy sting? Never, where is thy victory? To love again, it is God's will. Do you understand, my dear chap?
They left him. Then they went to tell the princess. And now Odysseus, dousing in the river, scrubbed the coat of brine from back and shoulders and rinsed the clot of sea spume from his hair, got himself all rubbed down from head to foot, then put on the clothes the princess gave him. Athena lent a hand, making him seem taller and massive too, with crisping hair in curls, like petals of wild hyacinth, but all red golden. Think of gold infused on silver by a craftsman whose fine art Hephaestus taught him.
Behold, therefore, a love story for you, my man of business. Do you think it very tedious and sentimental? Once I'd firmly resolved neither to leave her nor return from following after her, even if this might incur her displeasure at first. Once I clung simply and solely to the she and no other and the love on, then I feel a certain calm and determination. Then my despondency also disappears. Then all things become new for me. Then too my physical energy increased. And even though I haven't yet come to the end of the no, nay, never, and unfortunately therefore am to this day a soul in need, I still consider my conduct unregrettable. By this I don't mean to say that I did not, do not, or will not do any clumsy, awkward things, but that the mistakes I did make, am making, and will yet make don't alter the fact that there's a straight path before me upon which I walk, and that the she and no other and the love on are principles which I do well to adhere to. There are, however, those who think that I ought to have resigned myself and think that it goes against the rules not to consider myself defeated. But if one says of my declaration of this summer, the cat gets the birds who sing too soon, then you know the verse. Indeed, he lost feathers galore, but what, my fine sirs, was in store? They grew better than ever before.
Awakening up, he took her hollow lute, tumultuous, and in chords that tenderest be, he played an ancient ditty, long since mute, in Provence called La Belle Dame sans Merci, close to her ear, touching the melody. Wherewith, disturbed, she uttered a soft moan. He ceased, she panted quick, and suddenly her blue, afraid eyes, wide open, shone. Upon his knees he sank, pale as smooth sculpted stone.
How short is the hour we spend loving? It's less than an instant, a little more than a dream. Time takes away our spell. That's not Baudelaire. I don't even know who it's by, but they're the words of a song in Daudet's La Nabab. That's where I took it from. But doesn't it say the thing like a real lady's shrug of her shoulder? Having received the absorbent canvas, I'm starting these days a new number 30 canvas that I hope will be better than the others. Do you remember in À la recherche de bonheur, the chap who bought as much land as he could run around in a single day? Well, with my orchard decoration, I've been that man, more or less. Half a dozen out of a dozen I have anyway, but the other 6 aren't as good, and I'm sorry I didn't rather do 2 of them instead of the last 6. Anyway, I'll send you 10 or so in the next few days, anyway. But today's palette is definitely colorful. Sky blue, pink, orange, vermilion, brilliant yellow, bright green, bright wine red, violet. But by intensifying all the colors, one again achieves calm and harmony. And something happens like with the Wagner music, which, performed by a large orchestra, is no less intimate for that. Only people prefer sunny and colorful effects, and nothing stops me from thinking sometimes that later on, many painters will go and work in tropical countries.
Faint was the air with the odorous breath of magnolia blossoms, and with the heat of noon, and numberless sylvan islands fragrant and thickly embowered with blossoming hedges of roses, near to whose shores they glided along, invited to slumber. Soon, by the fairest of these, their weary oars were suspended. Under the boughs of Wichita willows that grew by the margin, safely their boat was moored, and scattered about on the greensward, tired with their midnight toil, the weary travelers slumbered. Over them, vast and high, extended the cope of a cedar. Swinging from its great arms, the trumpet flower and the grapevine hung their ladder of ropes aloft, like the ladder of Jacob, on whose pendulous stairs the angels ascending, descending, were the swift hummingbirds that flitted from blossom to blossom. Such was the vision that Evangeline saw as she slumbered beneath it. Filled was her heart with love, and the dawn of an opening heaven lighted her soul in sleep with the glory of regions celestial.
I have a lot to do every day, so the time goes quickly and the days are almost too short, even though I stretch them out a bit. I have such a great desire to progress, and also to know the Bible well and thoroughly, and also to know many things, such as what I wrote to you about Cromwell. No day without a line. Daily writing, reading, working, and practicing, with meekness and perseverance, will surely lead to something.
With fingers weary and worn, with eyelids heavy and red, a woman sat in unwomanly rags, plying her needle and thread. Stitch, stitch, stitch in poverty, hunger, and dirt. And still, with a voice of dolorous pitch, she sang the song of the shirt. Work, 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 while the cock is crowing aloof, and work, 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 till the stars shine through the roof. It's, oh, to be a slave, along with the barbarous Turk, where woman has never a soul to save, if this is Christian work. Work, 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 till the brain begins to swim. Work, 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 till the eyes are heavy and dim. Seam and gusset and band, band and gusset and seam, till over the buttons I fall asleep and sew them on in a dream. Oh, men with sisters dear, oh, men with mothers and wives, it is not linen you're wearing out, but human creatures' lives. Stitch, stitch, stitch in poverty, hunger, and dirt, sewing at once with a double thread, a shroud as well as a shirt. But why do I talk of death, that phantom of grisly bone? I hardly fear its terrible shape. It seems so like my own. It seems so like my own because of the fasts I keep. Oh God, that bread should be so dear, and flesh and blood so cheap.
As to that one word, Odysseus, from all we see, we take you for no swindler, though the dark earth be patient of so many, scattered everywhere, baiting their traps with lies of old times and of places no one knows. You speak with art, but your intent is honest. The Argive troubles and your own troubles you told as a poet would, a man who knows the world. But now, come tell me this. Among the dead, did you meet any of your peers, companions who sailed with you and met their doom at Troy? Here's a long night, an endless night before us, and no time yet for sleep, not in this hall. Recall the past deeds and the strange adventures. I could wait up until the sacred dawn, as long as you might wish to tell your story.
Work, work, work in the dull December light. Work, work, work when the weather is warm and bright. While underneath the eaves the brooding swallows cling, as if to show me their sunny backs and twit me with the spring. Oh, but to breathe the breath of the cowslip and primrose sweet, with the sky above my head and the grass beneath my feet, for only one short hour to feel as I used to feel before I knew the woes of want and the walk that costs a meal. Oh, but for one short hour, a respite, however brief, no blessed leisure for love or hope, but only time for grief. A little weeping would ease my heart, but in their briny bed my tears must stop, for every drop hinders needle and thread. With fingers weary and worn, with eyelids heavy and red, a woman sat in unwomanly rags, plying her needle and thread. Stitch, 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 in poverty, hunger, and dirt. And still with a voice of dolorous pitch, would that its tone could reach the rich, she sang this song of the shirt. Work, work, work in the dull December light. Work, work, work when the weather is warm and bright. While underneath the eaves the brooding swallows cling, as if to show me their sunny backs and twit me with the spring. Oh, but for one short hour, a respite, however brief, no blessed leisure for love or hope, but only time for grief. A little weeping would ease my heart, but in their briny bed my tears must stop, for every drop hinders needle and thread.
Establish your hope. For there is much that is good in life for him who loves Christ. The world is what it is, and all things should be added unto him, as it were. It is indeed true that much joy already lies behind us, and also much that we used to look forward to. And although much joy may lie in store for us, we have already seen that the world passeth away, and all the glory thereof. And if it be true that I found a joy in sorrow, a secret balm for pain, a beautiful tomorrow of sunshine after rain, I found a branch of healing near every bitter spring, a whispered promise stealing o'er every broken string. I think I'll need 10 tubes of zinc white as well. However, I know quite well that recovery comes, if one is brave, from inside, through the great resignation to suffering and death, through the abandonment of one's own will and one's self-love. But it is not coming to me. I love to paint, to see people and things and everything that makes up our life artificial, if you like. Yes, real life would be in something else, but I don't think I belong to that category of souls who are ready to live and also at any moment ready to suffer.
Everything lives. Everything loves. And I, sad and alone, stand like a dead tree against the vernal sky. I can no longer love. I, who have lived but 30 years, and have my mistress lately quit without regrets. I am like a sick man, his thoughts grown dull and wearying of his stale, familiar room. His sole amusement, stupid and mechanical, to count inside his head his carpet's flowers. Sometimes I wish my end were near, and all these recollections, once so sweet, I thrust away. As from the portrait of an ancestor whose gaze disturbs us, we turn away our eye.
With these poems by Courtauld, I'm adding an Arabian fable that I found this week in a piece by Lesseps, Voyage dans le Soudan. I like the idea, and I believe it can be thus, viewed thus. Men don't play a very noble role well, but that is in fact the case. It doesn't apply in general, though, because does the candle burn for the sake of the moth? If one knew that, well then, it might well be worthwhile committing suicide that way. If, though, the candle were to snigger at the burnt wings. A moth was in love with a candle, ever drawn towards it. It would come close to it, but as soon as the tip of its wing received a slight blow, it would retreat, throwing itself at the cruel one's feet and filling the air with its cries and groans. In the meantime, the candle burned down. Before giving out its last burst of light, it said to its suitor, "Moth, you have made a great deal of noise over a few blows to the tips of your wings. You have unjustly reproached me. I have loved you in silence. My flame is about to go out. I am dying. Farewell. Fly off to other loves."
He made his way to a grove, above the water on open ground, and crept under twin bushes grown from the same spot, olive and wild olive, a thicket proof against the stinging wind or sun's blaze, fine soever the needling sunlight. Nor could a downpour wet it through, so dense those plants were interwoven. Here Odysseus tunneled and raked together with his hands a wide bed, for a fall of leaves was there, enough to save 2 men or maybe 3 on a winter night, a night of bitter cold. Odysseus' heart laughed when he saw his leaf bed, and down he lay, heaping more leaves above him. A man in a distant field, no hearth fires near, will hide a fresh brand in his bed of embers to keep a spark alive for the next day. So in the leaves Odysseus hid himself, while over him Athena showered sleep, that his distress should end, and soon, soon. In quiet sleep, she sealed his cherished eyes.
Does the road wind uphill all the way?
Yes, to the very end.
Will the day's journey take the whole long day?
From morn to night, my friend.
But is there for the night a resting place?
A roof for when the slow, dark hours begin.
May not the darkness hide it from my face?
You cannot miss that inn.
Shall I meet other wayfarers at night?
Those who've gone before,
Then must I knock or call when just in sight?
they will not keep you waiting at that door.
Shall I find comfort, travel sore and weak?
Of labour you shall find the sum.
Will there be beds for me and all who seek?
Yea, beds for all who come.